I've been saying on this channel for a long time now that Legacy Auto are in big trouble, and I've shared with you lots of reasons why. But here is something that we in the West haven't been paying attention to. It's something that is largely endemic to the world's largest auto market. And it's yet another reason why Legacy Auto are in serious danger of being left in the past. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Electric Viking. My name is Sam Evans and you are watching the YouTube channel that just made 1,000 videos over the past 6 months. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Welcome back to everyone else. Great to have you here. I'll put a link in the description below to our Patreon page, and if you want to, you can jump on there and support us. If not, great to have you here on the channel. Audi, they represent Legacy Auto. And don't get me wrong, Volkswagen are clearly leading in electrification when it comes to Legacy Auto. They sold nearly 450,000 electric cars in 2021. That by far and away led Legacy Auto in terms of electric car sales. However, it was only 5% of the company's vehicle sales. And in China, believe it or not, that is by far the world's largest electric car market. Remember, more than 50% of electric cars sold worldwide were sold in China last year. And the Chinese auto market is growing. When I say growing, electric car sales there are growing rapidly, and they're displacing the sales of ICE cars at an incredible pace. However, there's a big issue going on in China, and that is Legacy Auto are being disrupted before our very eyes. No one, for some reason, is talking about it. Here is one of the reasons why that is happening. Now, aside from the fact that Legacy Auto are just making very few electric cars in China, and aside from the fact that they're pricing them at a higher price than comparable local vehicles, which in some ways are actually better, they're also way behind when it comes to technology. Now, carnewschina.com shared a recent article showing the new Audi Q5 electric vehicle. By the way, this vehicle is not built by Audi. It's built by state-owned company SAIC. So, if you're going to criticize China, maybe you shouldn't buy Audi vehicles because they are in bed with the Chinese government. And that is a fact. So, if you're one of those people who likes to comment on forums saying, I wouldn't dare buy a Chinese car, well, time to stop buying Audi. Because, believe it or not, it won't be very long before many of the vehicles that you buy from the Volkswagen Group will have a large majority of their parts and batteries built in China. Anyway, getting to the Audi Q5. The new Audi Q5 E-Tron will be launched in the Chinese car market within a matter of weeks. Let's have a look at this electric car and see why it's difficult for Legacy Auto to actually stay in the Chinese car market. The Audi Q5 E-Tron is a China-only electric SUV. It's made by China, in China by SAIC, which is part of the larger SAIC Volkswagen joint venture. It's based on the Volkswagen ID.6, which is also made by SAIC and by FAW, another Chinese company. Seeing a pattern here? Well, yes, there certainly is a pattern. Legacy Auto right now, pretty much all the cars they sell in China are made by local Chinese car companies. Now, the Audi Q5 e-tron has no connection to the petrol-powered Audi Q5 or the Audi Q5L. A less confusing name could have been a good choice. The Q5 e-tron is the second car under the SAIC Audi after the sleek A7L. Next up is the Audi Q6, a large SUV based on the Volkswagen Terramont, which is also built by SAIC. The Q5 e-tron will come in two variants. The 40 e-tron with a single motor setup and rear-wheel drive. Output is 204 horsepower and 310 Nm of torque. Weight is 2,325 kilos. The battery is an 83.4 kilowatt-hour lithium ternary or NCM chemistry pack with an energy consumption of 15.9 kilowatt-hours per 100 kilometers. NEDC range on the lenient cycle is 560 kilometers, probably about 450 kilometers in the real world. The 50 e-tron with a twin motor setup and four-wheel drive comes with 306 horsepower and 460 Nm of torque. Weight is an even heavier 2,410 kilos. The battery is the same 83.4 kilowatt hours, giving it a range of 520 kilometers on the NEDC cycle, or probably about 400 kilometers in the real world. So what about the size? Well, actually, it's not much different to the Tesla Model Y in terms of size, but it does cost a lot more. The size is 4.8 meters long, 1,860 millimeters wide, and 1,675 millimeters high, with a 2.965 meter wheelbase, 2,965 millimeter wheelbase. As you can see with electric cars, the wheelbases are often longer, meaning you get more space inside the car. As I go on about, that's one of the big pros of electric cars. The interior and the steering wheel has an interesting shape. The screen for the digital instrument panel looks a bit small. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, it looks smaller than what I've seen in some $6,000 or $7,000 budget cars. Wonder what the size is. Maybe I'm wrong. Turns out it's 10.25 inches. And the main touchscreen measures 11.6 inches. The screens look nice, but size-wise, they are too small in China in 2022, when cars that cost 1/10 of the price have screens that are 50% bigger on average. Many Chinese competitors offer much larger screens, even in much cheaper cars. The setup is a bit old-fashioned as well, with the screens far apart instead of using a more modern twin-screen setup, which is common in cars costing, like I said, 1/10 of the price. The infotainment system runs on Audi's Asterisk open platform. Open in concept, but not in reality. Audi says that in the future, at some point, nobody knows when, third-party developers will be able to develop and run apps directly on the platform. But when exactly this is going to happen is unclear. This is a big thing in China, where dozens of new apps launch every single hour. Local Chinese car makers have anticipated this long ago, says Car News China, by offering open source operating systems in their cars, often developed by major software makers like Baidu, Huawei, or Tencent. Western automakers are, however, more reluctant to the idea of losing control. Audi has opened the pre-sale order books, but exact pricing hasn't yet been announced. Audi only says that the 40 e-Tron will cost around 400,000 yen, or around $65,000, and the 50 e-Tron about 500,000, or about $80,000. That's quite a lot of money when you compare it to similar vehicles in China made by other companies such as XPeng and NIO, or Tesla, for example. For comparison, the dual motor Volkswagen ID6 or ID6X with 313 horsepower, even more than this Audi model, costs only 336,000 yen. As explained earlier, this is the car the Audi is actually based on. They're basically the same vehicle. It is nearly the same size. Car News China says this: the Audi Q5 E-Tron is a good-looking electric SUV for China with decent power and an okay range. But the interior tech seems very outdated, and it's a very expensive vehicle in comparison to its Chinese competition. It will be a hard sell. Currently, Legacy Auto are not making very many electric cars in China. In fact, very few. And of course, they're all made by their Chinese partners, most of them state-owned Chinese companies. And in addition to that, the technology in these vehicles is literally years behind the technology in comparable vehicles from Chinese automakers, which are almost always cheaper. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you again on the next one.